Okay, thank you to the Master of Ceremony for today's conference. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving to the next session. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli amma ba'd. Welcome back to the International Conference on Islamic and Muhammadiyah Studies. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the second session today. Inshallah, we are going to have two keynote speakers. Inshallah, I will be your moderator for today's conference, inshallah. So our third keynote speaker today is Dr. Hakan Coruh. Inshallah, Dr. Hakan Coruh will be together with us in this conference, inshallah. Let me just greet Dr. Hakan Coruh, a senior lecturer in Islamic Studies, Faculty of Art, and also he is also one of the scholars in University of Australia. Dr. Hakan Coruh, are you here with us in the Zoom meeting? Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum, Dr. Hakan Coruh. Are you here together with us in the Zoom meeting? You still unmute, Doctor. Can you please unmute your microphone? Okay. Cannot unmute. I think our Dr. Hakan Coruh already with us here in the Zoom meeting, still waiting to setting up the Zoom meeting so that we can hear the voice of our Dr. Hakan Coruh.
All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, okay. Already here. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you there, Dr. Hakan Coruh?
Yes. Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you. Alhamdulillah. Dr. Hakan Coruh already together with us here in the Zoom meeting. But before we start our presentation, please allow me to just read a brief of the profile of our Dr. Hakan Coruh as our fourth keynote speaker today. All right. Okay. Dr. Hakan Coruh is the full name for our keynote speaker today. Hakan Coruh is obtained his bachelor degree of Divinity Ilahiyat from Faculty of Divinity of Surakarta University in 2007. Dr. Hakan Coruh obtained and also completed his master degree in Quranic exegesis, tafsir at the same university. And also between 2003 and also 2008, he actively participated in the academic circles and centers such as ICIMS, Center for Islamic Studies in Istanbul, which is a prominent location for Islamic studies in the Muslim world. In 2015, Hakan successfully earned his PhD from Australian Catholic University, focusing his research on the early modern exegesis of the Qur'an, specifically studying the works of Said Nursi and also Muhammad Abduh, and the last one is Sir Ahmad Khan. Later that year, he began working as a lecturer at Kisas, Charles Sturt University in Australia, and in November 2021, he was promoted to the position of the senior lecturer. In addition to his teaching and also research responsibilities, Hakan served as the higher degree research coordinator for masters and also PhD candidates of the center from 2020 to 2022. Apart from Quranic exegesis, his research interests include Islamic law and ethics, as well as Islamic classics. In 2023, he also held a visiting research fellow position at the Center for Islamic Legislation and also ethics and at Hamad bin Khalifa University in Qatar for 2 months period. Hasan also specialized in Quranic exegesis, tafsir, and also actively teaches and writes on the subject related to Quranic studies, classical exegesis, and also contemporary approaches to the Qur'an and Islam. His academic interests encompass various fields, including classical and modern Quranic exegesis, contemporary Islamic thought, Islamic legal theories, usul fiqh, and also jurisprudence fiqh, Islamic ethics, akhlaq, Islamic theology, medieval Islamic, Christian, and Jewish classic, and also contemporary theology. Without further ado, inshallah, Dr. Hakan Coruh will be speaking on the topic trends in contemporary Islamic thought and legacy of Muhammad Abduh, an overview. فَلْيَتَفَضَّلْ مَشْكُورًا.
Attend this conference. Dr. Muhammad, thanks for introducing me. Very kind of you. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to join this conference. My apologies, I couldn't join in person. Inshallah, next time in the following years, I'm happy to come. Because of my busy schedule in the school, I couldn't come. And thank you, Dr. Haris, for inviting me to this beautiful international conference on Islamic and Muhammadiyah Studies. And yeah, I'm very happy to join. Thank you. And also, I attended morning session. Then after that, I had a meeting. I needed to disconnect from Zoom, but I really benefited. Great insights, and I benefited from scholars. Yemeni scholar, and also presentation on economy. And there were great discussions. I hope I am going to contribute to your discussions. Based on my experience in the West for around 15 years. I have been in Australia for 15 years during PhD and after PhD. I think title of the topic is appealing. Very good topic, very important topic. We should definitely discuss this topic, very important. I thought that how can I contribute? I focused on my studies, my existing studies. And I hope that I'm going to open up further discussions and we will discuss together. Dr. Muhammad, how many minutes do I have? All right, that's okay. Yes, I have picked up this one from a social media account, Islam and Science, and very interesting. Abbasid Khalif Ma'mun meets Aristotle in his dream, and Aristotle says to him, "Al-ilm la hudud laha wal-hikmah la arqa aw jinsiyah laha. رد الأفكار هو رد ملكوت الله." Yeah. A picture represents Muslim Abbasid Khalif Ma'mun's meeting with Greek philosopher Aristotle in his dream, and Aristotle says to him, knowledge has no any boundaries, wisdom, hikmah has no any race and nationality, rejection of ideas is rejection of malakut of Allah, he says, according to this dream. Of course, we have classical Islamic disciplines, sciences. In the center, I'm teaching tafsir, usul al-tafsir, and also usul al-fiqh. I focus on tafsir and fiqh, Islamic law, usul al-fiqh, and Islamic family law. Classical Islamic family law, and also contemporary discussions within Australia and in the West mainly, or also within the Muslim world, how to understand and apply classical family law into today's context. Of course, we have rich traditions. We have rich Islamic disciplines: tafsir, hadith, aqidah, fiqh, etc. We have rich traditions, and these disciplines, maybe we might say, are developed to understand the Quran and Sunnah in relation to understanding the Quran and Sunnah. And these disciplines develop in the context of transferring from Medinan context to universal context. You know, when you're going to apply the Quran and Sunnah in a universal context, these disciplines help, these disciplines develop. What I'm suggesting here, the conditions of the period in which the Prophet lived and the Quran was revealed, and social structure and historical background should be studied as well. You know, we need sociological studies, we need anthropological studies as well, and methodology of social sciences in this regard for us will be very helpful. General history of humanity, the course of development of social rules and institutions, and cultural history, anthropology, sociology areas also should be studied. And of course, when we come to modern period, lots of new issues emerged and developed, and many changes: globalization, migration, scientific developments, materialism, positivism, secularism, emergence of nation states, all affected the Muslim world and understanding of the world and religion somehow, and how Muslims encountered with modernity and modern values of modern values, maybe I should say. And now they talk about post-modernity. Modernity, you know, modern period finished now. Post-modernity, I have seen recently in one paper, they talk about post-modernity now. Post-modernity. We live according to Western categorization. You know, this is of course based on the Western modern knowledge. Postmodernity as a reaction to single type of modernity. Yes, it developed in the West, but it affects the world because of globalization. It affects the world, it affects the Muslim world and Muslims, and we should understand. It is developed as a reaction to modernity, celebrates hybridity, and globalization of course helps this on hybridity of cultures, and also eclecticism and also relativity. You know what they claim, this postmodernity claims, is there is no universal objective truth. All is relative, all is relative, and also emphasis on pluralism, rejecting normative standards and authoritative knowledge. Normative standards and authoritative knowledge, and hybridity of cultures and identities, not a single ethnicity based on society, and multiple truth. You know, but in our tradition and in our religion, Islam, we have asasat ad-diniyya, we have fundamentals, we have thawabit, we cannot change it. It is not open to change. But in secondary matters, furu'at, in the secondary matters, there could be change or update through ijtihad, etc. And conventionalism. You know, we should, I believe, you know, I believe that we should understand the current context, what's going on in the West, what's going on in the world, current trends and tendencies and ideologies, and what are the basis of these ideas. Some of them philosophical, some of them could be religious, root cause, in order to better understand the root cause and basis of these ideas and thoughts. And when we come to modern period, of course there could be a number of categorizations, but of course we have neo-traditionalism, very popular and very active, you know, worldwide, and neo-traditionalism. We have neo-modernist reformism, and we have social, political, and cultural Islamism. We have social, political, and cultural Islamism, and we have more liberal humanism. We have more liberal humanistic ideas developed by some Muslim academics and intellectuals, and also Sufi spirituality. That could be another categorizations, but I like this article and the categorization. I do not want to go over, if you are interested, you can read this article by Ibrahim. It is published in 2012. And just, I want to focus on Muhammad Abduh. And if you remember, Muhammad Abduh is considered the beginning of Islamic modernism. Abduh is key figure, very important figure. He is very influential, and his idea of tafsir, idea of tafsir should guide people, influence almost all tafsir, some somehow less or more, and it is considered the beginning of Islamic modernism. And as you know, his tafsir method is considered, is described for some islahi, for there are also some other descriptions as well. What he was arguing, the need for the interpretation of the Quran with a scientific worldview in mind, return to the core Islam of the earliest Muslims, revitalization of the Islamic intellectual tradition and interpretation of traditional sources in response to the challenges of modernity, their emphasis on harmony between reason and revelation, reform of significant institutions such as educational schools and their curriculums, etc. And calling for a return to the Quran as the primary text, and the earliest Muslims was an inevitable consequence of critiquing traditional scholarship. And what he was saying, he's saying the Quran should guide Muslims towards becoming a moral humanity, and Quran commentaries, tafsirs also should guide accordingly. Duty of the Muslim is to read the verse, remembering that it was revealed to give directives and provide lessons for those who believe. There was a very good example in the morning. I was listening to one scholar. He gave, Surah Ma'un, someone, one student was reading, reciting it many times, but Ustaz, founder of Muhammadiyah, asked, what did you get from this? What is the meaning here? What is the lesson from this surah? The Prophet came and the Quran was transmitted in order to guide humankind. A true commentary is one that explains the of humankind and the road he wishes it to take. And this tafsir approach influenced more or less modern tafsir somehow. Abduh also one of the leading proponents of Kalam al-Jadid developed, and at the end of 19th century, beginning of 20th century, revitalization of Kalam, systematic theology, Kalam al-Jadid movement, because science and philosophy developed rapidly and new challenges emerged, such as materialism and positivism, then also a new method, empirical method, became used in scientific research. Therefore, they highlighted these, proponents of this Kalam al-Jadid movement, highlighted the urgency of a substantial methodological change in the field of Kalam, substantial methodological change in the field of Kalam. And he contributed to Aqidah area as well, Risalah al-Tawheed, the theology of unity, Abduh. Is an example of these modern tendencies, simplicities of faith. In fiqh, in jurisprudence, he also contributed. He put emphasis on ijtihad as a fundamental device of Muslim law, and putting emphasis on ijtihad and openness of the gate of ijtihad to make divine law adaptable to changing circumstances in the world. Al-Aql al-Awwal wal-Naql al-Mu'awwal, first reason and then the text, or text should be interpreted using rational explanation. And also he urged flexibility in tafsir, exegetical flexibility, and using also sources of law and scholars' works as source of choosing the most suitable law for any present problem. Of course, this taqrib al-madahib, this using schools of law, not just only one school of law. Emphasize the changing nature of Sharia and public interest in the Muslim jurisprudence. In Abduh's view, muamalat, where there is no explicit text, should depend on public interest. I think similar approach is available in Ibn Ashur as well. Ibn Ashur, Maqasid al-Shari'at al-Islamiyya, and also his Tafsir al-Tahrir. Ibn Ashur also have a similar idea. In the area of muamalat, maslaha works more, but in the area of ibadat, devotional matters, not much, because of ta'abudi nature of ibadat field. It doesn't work much like muamalat area. And as I said, the emphasis on reason and rationality. Of course, question here: what type of reason is this? What type of reason? Which type of reason? Yes, when we look at the Qur'an, yes, in many verses, Qur'an put emphasis on reasoning and contemplation and reasoning, but Islamic sources put emphasis on, sahih, authentic reason, and aql, authentic reason. Islam and the Quran rationally stressed the Quran is only sacred text that he argues in a deductive and demonstrative way, and he considers it as a necessary obligation of human beings to ponder it scientifically and systematically. Importance of reason, a positive approach. Many Quranic verses call for reflection upon the signs of Allah in nature, and these verses comprise approximately half of the Quran. And he says there is no conflict between religion and science. This is another topic, relationship between religion and science. Of course, question may have here, what type of science is this? If it is positivist science, positivistic science, of course, it will not accept any transcendental, any metaphysical or transcendental opinion or ideas or beings. Here, what type of science is this? And also understanding, each type of understanding religion. Regarding, there are ideas and theories about religion and science relationship. I have published one article on this, religion and science relationship. compatibility approach, contradiction approach. Of course, if science is heavily materialistic and positivistic, it will contradict with religious values. Religion is a friend of science. I think what he understands is more, science which accepts metaphysical realm. He says Allah has given two books: nature, created one, work of God, and the Qur'an, which is revealed one, kalam Allah, speech of Allah. The Qur'an urges us to study the nature through intelligence, and Abduh believes that the spirit of Islam is truly understood, is tolerable for scientific study. As I said at the beginning of my talk, we should critically engage with cumulative human knowledge, what I believe, and cumulative human knowledge, existing human knowledge now in the modern period, in this contemporary period, and which aspects, what are the bases of, what is the basis, what are the bases and root causes of these ideas. As I said, some of them could be very purely philosophy or science or even biblical or religious. And as you know, Islam does not approach anything as black and white. Which aspects could be compatible, adaptable, which aspects may not be adaptable and will be contradictory with the fundamentals of Islam, as and as an example from the classical period, our classical ulama actually made this. They did this. They critically engaged with science and philosophy in their times. And they transformed it. They did not copy paste. They transformed it. And if anything is beneficial, and if they consider something as universal, they adopted it. They adopted it as long as if it is compatible with the Sharia values. For example, one example I'm focusing on, as Dr. Muhammad said, one of my interest areas is ethics, virtue ethics, akhlaq, in the classical period, from classical to modern. I and my colleague, we read Akhlaq al-Abudiyya, very famous classical text which was studied and taught and mastered in traditional madrasas for centuries. Akhlaq al-Abudiyya, and with a commentary, super commentary. We read together and discussed for over 2 years. We read this text. We were actually amazed by this text, how they did this, how they critically engaged with the knowledge, how they critically engaged and disagreed or agreed and with the knowledge of their times. For example, when we look at, according to this classical ethics text, we have three faculties of the human soul. We have rational faculty, we have a faculty of anger, we have faculty of desires. And for each these three faculties affect our behavior. This is mainstream classical Islamic ethics. These three faculties affect our behavior. For each faculty there is a middle way which needs to be achieved: wisdom, courage, temperance, and when we join all these, when we have all these, we achieve justice. They shagaltul akhlaq. This is the ethics of three ethics. Ethics of Islamic ethics 3. As you can see, 3 faculties, and for each faculty there is middle way, and there are sub-virtues for each middle way. They adopted this. They discovered this. They understood on the basis of the Qur'an and Sunnah, and also if there is something beneficial, useful, and universal, and if they considered it universal in that time, they adopted it. they adopted it. As you know, hikmah, wisdom, wherever it is, we are able to get it, we are able to receive it. And they focused on, for example, if I give one example, the definition of hikmah. What is hikmah? Of course, when we look at Qur'an, in Quranic context, hikmah, وَيُعَلِّمُهُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. Hikmah means sunnah. In Quranic context, sunnah or beneficial knowledge and application, practice accordingly in Quranic context. But in akhlaq literature, in addition to this, in Islamic akhlaq literature, in addition to this Quranic meaning, they define, for example, as the following: تعرف الموجودات كما هي وفعل ما ينبغي أن يفعل. Knowing things as they are and acting what is required. Knowing the nature of things is considered as hikmah. And someone who knows the nature of things is considered as hakim, the wise one. Yeah. And they are citing, for example, from the Quran, Allah has sent down scripture and wisdom to you. Quran and Sunnah. And another verse from the Quran, how can those who know be equal to those who do not know? And they focused on, there are some spiritual sicknesses or maladies which originating from these three powers, faculties of human soul. Yeah, for example, sicknesses related to originating from the power of reason. For example, ignorance, al-jahl al-basit, al-jahl al-murakkab, compound ignorance, or al-jahl al-muq'ab, this is compound, this is the more advanced one, and psychological maladies originating from power of anger, for example, ghadab, cowardice, fear. And what are the causes of these sicknesses, psychological maladies? What are the remedies? Of course, they cited from the Quran and Sunnah. They cited according to the knowledge of their times in science. Some knowledge could be adopted here because in that time, scientific knowledge, we might have some adopted some adaptations in psychology or science in some of the knowledge in the text. And sicknesses or psychological maladies originating from the power of desires. Greed, hirs. This is excess one, ifrat one, or sloth. This one is tafrit one, batada, sloth. And dejection, huzn, for example. Yeah, what are the implications? What I am trying to argue here is that constructive-ish, as Muslims, we should have constructive engagement with cumulative human knowledge. And also, critically engage with the cumulative human knowledge and try to understand the Islam and Quran and Sunnah in today's context. Of course, we have fundamentals, we have thawabit. They are not open to change. They are not open to change, and we will follow. We should stick with the fundamentals of Siyasat Diniya. But in this secondary matters, change or ijtihad are open always. Critical engagement with contemporary knowledge while keeping our Asasat ad-Diniya fundamentals. Yeah. What I'm saying here, Islamic scholarship contributes to the common good, societal challenges and interfaith collaborations as well. Value of inquiry into human problems. What are the human problems today? For example, global warming or in any problem, and how our resources, our sources, Quran and Sunnah, our traditional sources of knowledge can contribute to human problems. Human problems. It could be related to nature, environment. It could be related to it It could be related to medicine, etc. And in providing remedies, what and how our resources can contribute to these contemporary human issues and problems and discussions. All right, and also critical pedagogy and bottom-up approach. This was also Muhammad Abduh also had a bottom-up approach, more cultural Islam, more based on society, civic way, and philosophical spirit that is aimed at preventing and mitigating the process of dehumanization, underdevelopment, corruption, injustice, and exclusivism. Yeah, we should also study studies on this. Because of this conference, I have been in Indonesia two times. Unfortunately, I couldn't be able to visit schools and other institutes of Muhammadiyah. Inshallah, in the future, I wish. But based on my readings, there are amazing initiatives and amazing services in schools and education and in other parts. All right, I want to finish with this. نور الوجدان هو علوم الدين ونور العقل هو علم الحضارة العلوم الفنية والحق يتجلى باجتماعهما معا. The light of conscience, Wijdan, is the sciences of religion, علوم الدين, and the light of the mind is فني, scientific knowledge, and علم الحضارة. The truth is manifested by the combination of the two. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope you enjoyed it. It was beneficial. Thank you so much.
Dr. Hakan, from insightful presentation. I believe that our participant today learned something new, especially on the context of contemporary Islamic thought and legacy of Muhammad Abduh. Before we are moving to the next session, which is question and answer, please allow me to take some of the important points from the presentation of our Dr. Hakan Coruh. Abduh argues that Islam was compatible with the nation and also rationality. Abduh also maintained Islam and the Qur'an rational. Moreover, he stressed the Qur'an is the only sacred text that argues in deductive and also demonstrative way. And he sees also it as the necessary obligation of the human beings to ponder it scientifically and systematically. Abduh also underlined frequently that Muslim faith stands on reason. Okay,